Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, today we are in chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute. Slok 723. 723. Antavat tu phalam tesam tad bhavati alpam vedasam devan devayatya yanti mad bhakta yanti mam api antavatu phalam tesam tad bhavati alpamadasam devam devayatyo yanti mad bhakta yanti mam api antavatu phalam tesam tad bhavati alpamadasam devan devayatyo yanti mad bhakta yanti mam api antavatu phalam tesam tad bhavati alpamadasam devan devayatyo yanti mad bhakta yanti mam api antavatu phalam tesam tad bhavati alpamadasam devan devayatyo yanti mad bhakta yanti mam api antavatu phalam tesam tad bhavati alpamadasam devan devayatyo yanti mad bhakta yanti mam api. Anyone else?
Antavastu phalam tesam
Antavatu phalam tesam
kalpamedhasya
tad bhavati alpamadasam
deva devayatyo yanti
devan devayatyo yanti
bhakta anti mamati
mad bhakta yanti mam api antavatu phalam tesam tad bhavati alpamadasam devan devayatyo yanti mad bhakta yanti mam api. Okay, word for word translation. Antavat, perishable. Tu, but. Phalam, fruit. Tesam, dear. Tat, that. Bhavati, becomes. Alpa medasam, of those of small intelligence. Devan, to the demigods. Deva Yaga, the worshippers of the demigods. Yanti,
Yanti,
go.
Go,
Mat, mind. Bhakta, devotees. Yanti, go. Mam, to me. Api, also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods. But my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Please repeat after me. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods. But my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Purport. Some commentators on the Bhagavad Gita say that one who worships a demigod can reach the Supreme Lord. But here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated. Just as a worshipper of the sun achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of the moon achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship a demigod like Indra, he can attain that particular god's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod is worshipped, will reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is denied here, for it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to the different planets in the material world, but the devotee of the Supreme Lord goes directly to the Supreme Planet of the Personality of God. Here, the point may be raised that if the demigods are different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, then the same end would be achieved by worshipping them. However, worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent because they do not know to what part of the body food must be supplied. Some of them are so foolish that they claim that there are many parts and many ways to supply food. This isn't very sanguine. Can anyone supply food to the body through the ears or eyes? They do not know that these demigods are different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord. And in their ignorance, they believe that each and every demigod is a separate god and a competitor of the Supreme Lord. Not only are the demigods parts of the Supreme Lord, but ordinary living entities are also. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that the Brahmanas are the head of the Supreme Lord. The Kshatriya are his arms, and Vaishyas are his waist, and Sudras are his legs, and all serve different functions. Regardless of the situation, if one knows that both the demigods and he himself are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, his knowledge is perfect. But if he does not understand this, he achieves different planets where the demigods reside. This is not the same destination the devotee reaches. The results achieved by the demigods' benedictions are perishable, because within this material world, the planets, the demigods, and their worshippers are all perishable. Therefore, it is clearly stated in this verse that all results achieved by worshipping demigods are perishable. And therefore, such worship is performed by the less intelligent living entity. Because the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness in devotional service of the Supreme Lord achieves eternal blissful existence, that is full of knowledge. His achievements and those of the common worshipper of the demigod are different. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. His favor is unlimited. His mercy is unlimited. Therefore, the mercy of the Supreme Lord upon His pure devotees is unlimited. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilita Vyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavareshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalparupyasya Kripa Sindhvyo Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, this is the sloka which has introduced a little bit about the other type of people, but let me just go through it, then I'll explain. In this chapter, Lord Krishna is revealing knowledge of Himself. This is chapter 7, knowledge of the Absolute. So He is revealing knowledge about Himself so that people can always think of Krishna with great faith. 7.1 says, how by taking shelter of me and practicing Bhakti Yoga, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full and free from all doubts. So that is the intention, that Bhagwan is giving some information about Himself to help us to know Him better. And only Krishna can reveal this information, because no one is above Him or equal to Him. So He is the only right person to be able to give out this information. He is the source and controller of both matter and spirit. In 7.4, it says material energy, consisting of 8 separated energies: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, false ego. All are inferior energy of the Lord. Material energy is inferior. And 7.5, he talks about the spiritual energy, which is the superior energy, living entities. This knowledge which has been given should be enough for a person to surrender onto Krishna. You should know that everything comes from Krishna, so we are also part and parcel of Krishna. And it should be enough to surrender all to Krishna. But ignorance of His greatness caused due to attachment to His inferior energy is an obstacle to surrendering. So that is why a lot of people do not surrender onto Krishna, because they get attached to the inferior energy of the Lord. Right? So, and then in 7.15 talks about 4 types of people who never come to Krishna. And they are, in short, Muda, Nara, Adami, Maya, Yak, Patra, Jnana, and Asuram, Bhavam, Asrita. These are the 4 types of people who never come to Krishna. But then in the next sloka, he talks about 4 people who do come to him. And that is in 7:16, it says about Supritans, the pious people. The first one is Artha, is the distressed, Jignasu, the inquisitive, Arthi, seeker of wealth, and Gyani, shelter, seeker of knowledge of Lord Krishna. So these 4 types of people come to Krishna. So in 7:18 he says, Gyani is considered the best. But all of them are magnanimous souls. They are all considered to be considered the Mahatmas. Though the Jnani is the topmost out of those 4, all the others are still to be considered Mahatmas. Artha, Jignasu and Arthi have the potential to become pure devotees by association. Those 4 categories, these 3 other categories, have the potential to rise up to becoming pure Jnani. Because of this. This is so because these people may have material desires but have approached the right goal. They will soon become free from all material lust. The right goal meaning Lord Krishna. They have come to Krishna to seek even material desires. At the moment they are coming to Krishna and it is their exchange is like a business transaction. They have asked for something and Krishna is supplying. So that is still on the path to becoming a Jnani in the future. So these are all very dear to Krishna, all of them are. But there is another group of people whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires. And they surrender onto demigods. And they follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own nature. Right? So, there are people who apart from this have decided not to follow Krishna, but to go to demigods. For what reason? We will go and explain. So in 2.42, in the previous chapter 2, men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. They believe that whatever they are wanting to do or have sense gratification, and that can be achieved by the demigods. Right? This is their understanding. They don't know that ultimately those demigods are being supplied by the Supreme Lord Himself. Less intelligent people approach demigods. Why? The reasons are, it seems that the results which they want are immediate fulfillment of their material desires. 2. Generally, they are of the lower modes of nature. They are usually in the mode of passion or mode of ignorance. And they have small desires. They cannot see the full picture. They have small desires and have no knowledge how to reach the supreme goal. So these are the type of people who take it upon themselves to worship demigods. These people believe that demigods can fulfill their desires. They are not aware that now the limitations of demigods are there. They may want to achieve everything, but the demigods themselves have limited powers. Demigods cannot bestow any benediction without the supreme will. 7.22. It has to be approved by the Supreme Lord for them to grant further the benediction to the seeker. Right? So they are limited, they cannot do themselves. The demigods themselves cannot say, oh, I'm going to give this boon to this guy. It has to be approved from the Supreme. Their benedictions are limited, temporary and material. Right? Their thing is restricted to this material creation, their boons. Their destination is to their planets only and not to Vaikuntha. Their person who worships them can go up to the level of their planet, but not to the Supreme Planet. And if the rules which they desire are not followed properly, they demand certain rituals to be carried out. If they are not, then that person can get into, in fact, more problems. So, following and worshipping demigods is not the right thing to do. Right? Now, you may question that why should Krishna allow a person to worship someone apart from himself? Why should he want to do that? And the reason is that he has given, he doesn't want to interfere with their independence. He has given independence to everyone to decide for himself. He knows seated inside what the desire of that person is. But at the same time, he is allowing that person to make his own choices. If he wants to go to a demigod, he will strengthen his faith for the demigod. But because ultimately that should lead to worshipping him in the future. So this is the whole idea that a person cannot, given a free will, having no knowledge, may worship demigods because the results appear immediate. But it is not a long-term solution. Right? And in 9.25, it says, those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. So here it is very clearly stated what the destination of the people is. Whoever they worship will take them to that place. So if they start worshipping Krishna, they will end up in Vaikuntha. Otherwise not so. No other path is available for them to go there. And then in 8.16 it says, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So here, having gone to these various demigods' planets, there is always going to be a fall down. They are going to have repeated birth and death. So the long-term solution is not there. If you want to break this cycle, it has to be only worship of Krishna. And that is it. And that is a summary of this sloka. I guess that's any questions? Or okay, so yes. Yes.
Just like you say that if we worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can go back to it. So like if you say, even if I worship a little bit, can I still go to the Supreme Personality of God?
Yes. There is a chance that maybe not in this life, but as and when your bhakti keeps on developing further and further, it will take you to Krishna.
घोड़ा भगवान धाम नहीं जा सकते भाई, घोड़ा करने से नहीं जा सकते, लेकिन जाए क्या है?
It says in one of the slokas that if you do 1% bhakti now, next life you will start from 2%.
240. 240 or 39.
So if you cover 30% this life, the next life you will have to cover only 70%.
But you have to make 100%.
Hare Krishna. Granth Raj Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.